It's time for another installment of Flashpoint. This morning, News 6 morning anchor Justin Warmoth sits down with Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs as the area prepares to remember those killed in the Pulse nightclub shooting nearly 1 year ago.
Good morning, I'm Justin Warmoth. Over the past year, Orlando has seen countless stories of hope and unity. And while June 12th may mark a somber tone, it'll also celebrate love and kindness here in the City Beautiful. And joining us today on Flashpoint, one of our great leaders that we have here in Central Florida, Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs. So good to see you, and thank you so much for being here on Flashpoint.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
It's great to see you. And of course, we're talking about the first anniversary of the Pulse shooting today here on Flashpoint, which is just a few weeks away. But I want to start with how you are doing and how you've reflected on, it's almost been a year now. How are you feeling now?
You know, it's hard for me to believe that we're coming up on a year. The memories are just as clear and vivid as they were the week after. The emotions are sometimes equally as raw. And I think the more, it's not really important how I'm doing. Thank you for asking. But the really important thing are, how are the families doing? How are the friends doing? How are the loved ones doing? And that's what we want the 12th to be about. We want to make sure that we're communicating to the families that they are not forgotten. Their loved ones are not forgotten. They're never going to be alone in this community. And things are never going to be the same. But they're not going to be the same for them because of loss we can never erase, but they're also never going to be the same because their loved ones' lives mattered.
Absolutely. And you know, you were just here a few months ago here on Flashpoint, reflecting on our community involvement and how the community overwhelmingly came out in support of everyone that was involved in this. And really it was a show of solidarity, and it was a fantastic showing, and that was in the days, weeks, months after the shooting. Now that it's coming up on a year, how do you think the community has been, and what do you expect to see their response be on the 12th?
I think from my interaction, you know, with all sectors of our community, I still feel that same sense of support and unity, that same sense of outrage and anger over what happened, but that same sense of support and unity that we experienced. And I think that we're going to see a tremendous outpouring, not just here, but from people across the country that I expect will join us for June 12th to reflect and to honor and to remember. But I don't think our community has. I've heard from people that are family members that live elsewhere.
Right.
One family.
So many of them do.
So many of them do. And one of them said that they feel alone in their community because their community isn't all in this.
Right.
And I still think Orlando, we're all keenly aware, and we will always be affected by this.
Absolutely.
And the question is, what do we do? What do we do with that? And how do we move that forward in a way that really pays tribute and honor to the lives that were lost?
You just made a point that not many people do, and it gave me chills, I have to be honest, because you talk about how the victims in this were from all over the place. And, you know, we see what's happening here in Orlando and the way we've reacted to it, but we don't know in Puerto Rico, where so many of them are from, it's, you know, they just moved on. Other folks around that area. So, you know, they may not see it, but they should know that here in Orlando, we do remember the victims. And of course, the 12th will always be synonymous with what happened, of course. I'm sure so many ideas were talked about now that we are getting to the first anniversary of this. So what made you and Mayor Dyer decide on Orlando United Day is what it's going to be called?
That's a great question. And it wasn't something that just instantly came together in terms of what we were going to do on Orlando United Day. I think that the Orlando United Day terminology is what we have come to own as a community. But the Day of Love and Kindness, how did we come up with that? It was a lot of input. It wasn't Mayor Dyer and me. Let me expound on that. A lot of players. Patty Sheehan was in every conversation as the first openly gay representative on the City Council. We had Barbara Poma in all of our meetings. We had the Orlando One Alliance. We had the Victim Service Center participating in helping us make sure that what we do that day properly honors, remembers, is first and foremost helpful and healing and supportive of the families. And
Absolutely.
so it was a very cooperative effort that started with a lot of listening.
So many players that go along with this, so many people that were there that horrible day, and we're going to talk more about the Orlando United Day right after this break, but we do need to take a short break. We're back with Mayor Teresa Jacobs right after this break. Stay with us.
The state of Orange County is strong, it is resilient, and it is unified. It is proud, it is compassionate, and it is confident.
And that, of course, is our guest this morning on Flashpoint, Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs. And that was at your annual State of the County address that you had last month. I know you touched on a lot. A lot has happened in our community this past year, and including how the community came together in light of what happened to Lieutenant Deborah Clayton and Deputy Norman Lewis. But you also had a special Pulse tribute during that as well. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as we reflected on this past year, Pulse has been such a crucial part of this past year. Pulse will be a crucial part of our history forever here in Orlando, and I think nationally and internationally. And I certainly hope it goes down in history as one of the worst and the last attacks on our LGBTQ community, and the point where a lot of people started to change their thinking and open their hearts. I hope that this is that moment in time. I believe it is. But we could have spent the whole state of county on nothing but Pulse.
Right.
And I thought it was extremely important that we took time during the State of the County to reflect on the victims, to reflect on the strength of our community, to reflect on the response. And I'm glad we did. And we ended with something that was almost spontaneous. It was amazing. A week before, I had a visit from two gentlemen who are leading this national and international campaign, Let's All Connect. It's a campaign for peace and unity, and they happened to be in town the Friday before, and I was at home still working on final touches, and they wanted to come by and get me to sign their Jeep. They were having Pulse survivors and participants and people that were involved at the time, and they had Mayor Dyer sign it, and I signed it, and they came by, and as they explained what they were doing, and I said, gosh, can we get you to come to the State of the County? And we ended with the largest show of unity that they have held so far, with approximately 800 people coming together to form a heart with what they call their palm to palm, cross your heart, palm to palm show of unity and peace and love and support. Yeah,
what a moment that must have meant. Yeah.
And none of it was planned. It was literally a week to the day before our State of the County.
Sometimes the best things happen like that. Well, last month, Orange County, the first responders held some drills, an emergency drill, in fact. And I know a lot of the focus of that was, and here's some video of that, I know a lot of focus was how those first responders reacted in the moments just after the shooting at Pulse. So what kind of support do our first responders need moving forward? Well,
I think they need two types of support. I think we need to remember that the trauma that comes from responding to an event like that doesn't go away overnight, and sometimes you don't even realize that the trauma is affecting you emotionally. And so I think we need to continue to look carefully at our first responders that were there and make sure they're doing okay.
Absolutely.
And that we have the resources to provide them any support that they need. The skills and that they need going forward are very different than the skills that they needed the last century. Their entire universe has changed. Our fire chief is committed to that. I'm committed to that. They need training. They need different tools. Our firefighters, who used to primarily respond to fires and then primarily heart attacks and car accidents, are now being trained in a whole different arena. They're being trained to interact directly with law enforcement. They're being trained to respond as if they're on a battlefield, because that's what we saw in Pulse, and that's what we're seeing, unfortunately, in other parts of the country and the world. And so they are entering into a new realm, and we're committed to the training that they need.
Well, you know, we were touching on this just before we went to break, though. We were talking about the Orlando United Day and what will take place on June 12th in just a few weeks. What do you plan to do to remember, and where do you plan to be? I know there's so much going on.
I know this might sound crazy. I'm trying to figure out whether sleep is actually a requirement or not. You get a little older, it becomes a greater requirement, if I can be honest. But I plan to be at all of the organized events. We've got a website. We want to make sure that people visit that site. I think that you are probably able to, display that and make sure that people know how to get there. But we will be doing a lot of the things that you saw take place immediately after Pulse. The C2C flag, we're going to be, again, draping that and hanging that from the county administration building, which to me was such a symbolic sense of movement forward in acceptance and love and support of especially our LGBTQ community. And to be able to hang that on a government building here in this community was phenomenal, and not to have the pushback that we would have had even a decade ago, even 2 years ago.
A lot of changes.
So a lot of things going on. My hope is to be at every one of them, from events at the History Center to Lake Eola, and I hope everybody else will join us at any place they feel is appropriate.
It's going to be an emotional day, absolutely. And
it is going to be an emotional
It's going to be very emotional, and I think one of the places that carries the most weight and maybe the most powerful display of things will be the collection of all the memorial items that were gathered at the DPAC, and of course at the site at Pulse. So what can you tell us about that display? Yeah,
we've now collected over 5,000 items that have been that were left behind or created around Pulse. We're also really excited about this. They're collecting audios from survivors, from people, first responders, from family members, from loved ones, and I think those audios are going to be extremely important to help tell that story well into the future. Pictures are extremely valuable. Audio is extremely valuable, and we're trying to make sure that we're doing that in a way that we're not just telling what happened, but we're telling it in a way, as I said before, that creates that kind of change, that self-reflection. And very excited about what we'll be seeing, a much more finished product, but still always evolving at the History Center.
It is. I mean, you mentioned that there are several different, everything keeps coming together with this because it's never truly finished. So more donations and more folks are dropping things off at the History Center then?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, yes.
And they go to Pulse and they do whatever they need to do there, leave their thoughts behind as well, and that's all left and then gathered and then preserved. That's a great process that you guys are conducting, absolutely. So anything new that will be displayed as we get closer to June 12th and on that day, will anything new be unveiled for folks that may be looking forward to that?
The one new thing, and we displayed a digital memorial at the 6 month, and it was in its early stages, and we're very excited about the One Orlando digital memorial that will be much more comprehensive. And there's so many poignant memories there. I think for me, seeing a Boy Scout, the whole Boy Scout troop, but a single Boy Scout out there picking up the American flag, and him saying, I never thought, when this happened, I never thought there would be something I could do to help. The homeless man, Tony, who basically served as night watch guard and lit the candles. It's so many touching memories.
So many people.
That, as horrific as the day was, as much as the loss will never be forgotten and overcome, the response, the dichotomy of hate and love were never, I don't think, more real, more tangible than they were.
It's hard to believe that it has been just about a year.
Yeah.
It really is. And our coverage of Pulse and the remembrance of it, Pulse 1 year is what we're calling it, it continues right here on Flashpoint in the weeks leading up to Orlando United Day on June 12th. We will have full coverage all day on that Monday right here on News 6, and of course on our website clickorlando.com. It's going to be an emotional day. And we hope to see a lot of people out in the community get out there and show their support for all the victims in this. And we want to say thank you to Mayor Jacobs for being here this morning, and that'll do it for us here on Flashpoint. For all of us here at Flashpoint, we appreciate it, and stay tuned for more news and weather just ahead in just a few minutes.